going live now. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Icecast Live this Thursday evening. And joining me as co-hosts this evening are Mr. Chris Ball and Mr. Andrew Richmond. Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Evening, guys.
Oh, evening.
Evening.
All good.
Are we all well?
Yeah. All right. Looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, we've been getting very excited. Yeah, we're getting very excited about tonight because we've got four, haven't we? Guests tonight. Because tonight, of course, today was the launch day of the brand new British anthology comic called Shift. Yeah, it's called Shift. Correct, and it's absolutely amazing. Well, it looks absolutely amazing. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to talk to the publisher and we're going to talk to two of the creators that are involved in it about what it's going to be all about. And we're just really excited about it because it's not very often that we get a new British anthology like this. It's available in the newsagents and all that sort of stuff. So first of all, we'd like to bring on Adrian and Dave Clarke, please, who are the publishers of this great magazine. And welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Oh, good, thank you. Good evening. Hi there. How you doing?
Good evening to you. Good evening to you. We're really excited to be welcoming you tonight to the Icecast and to talk about this new magazine that everybody seems to be talking about. This is really exciting. How are you feeling tonight?
Yeah, very happy.
Excited about it. Yeah,
the way it's turned out. Yeah,
cracking. I mean, obviously, it's the culmination of a big, long slog of work. So sometimes, that feeling I was out now. Whew.
Yeah. I think it's probably a relief more than anything.
Yeah,
it's actually got out there. There's always it's always going to be distribution issues, things like that. Is it getting to the shops? All those worries, but we're there now. So just hope that everyone's enjoying it. Really.
Yeah. No, well, congratulations anyway on making it happen. That's the first hurdle, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem, man. And also joining us tonight are artist and also writer. We have Mr. Simon Furman and Mr. Geoff Senior. Way, clap some round of applause.
Hello.
Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Evening.
Look at that.
A full house. How are we doing, guys? You all right?
Look at all these floating heads.
She'll get black backgrounds like yours, Andy.
Yeah.
And you guys are serializing your ongoing story, aren't you? To the death in the new magazine.
It's been lovely. I mean, we've had the whole series out now as our 10-issue maxi series. And it's just lovely to be able to put it into something that's going to be on the UK newsstands. It's very happy to be back for us. Long time since we've both been, available in all good newsagents here in the UK.
Yeah, it's where you belong as well, guys. Definitely. We've all got very happy memories of what you guys worked on. I mean, we could talk about it, but we'd be here absolutely all night, wouldn't we? I mean, but just to skim the surface, I mean, there's Transformers, there's Doctor Who, there's Thundercats, there's Action Force, there's Dragon's Claws. It just goes on. And, Dragon's Claws has a special place in my heart. It was a great series. Only 10 issues, far too short. You were a big fan of that one as well, weren't you, Chris?
Oh, just a little bit. But no, it was a great series. What was it? The first proper UK Marvel UK print, I think. Of an individual story.
Yeah, I think it was the first US format series Marvel UK had ever published. Was really their big push towards, a foothold in the American market. So there was a lot riding on it, and I think all of us back then were just like, oh God, we hope we don't fall flat on our faces with this. But, the other side to it was we just thought, well, let's not hold back. Let's not do the standard superhero thing and go more sci-fi 2000 AD with that sort of satirical edge to it. And yeah, the result was Dragon's Claws, or Dragon's Teeth as it originally was going to be. But and lovely. And really, it led to so many other things, Death's Head and onwards. So, we're all very grateful for it. And strangely, To the Death is very much like the spiritual successor to Dragon's Claws. It was channeling a lot of that same energy and vibe we had going back then.
Yeah, and the story's got similarities as well, because it's like a squad of trooper types, isn't it, as well, Simon? So there are certain resemblances and things. But a slightly better drawn this time around, I think. There's an interesting art technique I used doing Dragon's Claws. I was looking at it again the other day. It's strange to look back at earlier work that you did. I think, I had an interesting technique there. But, it was happy and jolly. So obviously a lot of people liked it. So that's satisfying.
It was a
really
great technique.
Kinetic. Yeah, it was great kinetic storytelling, It moved at a real fast pace. But we have noticed, though, obviously, with this new strip, it's a lot more cinematic, the storytelling style. Was that because it was originally digital? So you sort of took that decision to make it more sort of widescreen, if you like?
Yeah, it was. Originally, I did it, as you said, widescreen, which is what I call a posh shooting board, basically. And then we reformatted it into issues, which actually worked. I knew it was always going to work, but it just meant a bit of cropping and a bit of redoing. But it's quite nice to do that, because I could just go over things again, tweak a few bits here and there. It's one of the things where, going over things, you could tweak forever. But there's certain bits I did change and embellish a bit, etc., which I thought added to the story. I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't notice, but those who do will notice, and I think the story did improve a bit from it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice having the second pass at it, just because we also found we had scope within the 10-issue series to expand on some bits that we felt maybe were not exactly lacking, but it could be explored further. So, we added bits in. So the digital and the print ended up, especially towards the end of the series, quite different, and with some new scenes added, and just generally we pumped it up even more, I think.
Bet it is the bits that Simon forgot to put in first time round.
I thought that was a really interesting thing, though, with a modern comic book and it being digital, is to be able to go back as a creator and think, I want to tweak that, or we can change that now. A very modern, way of doing a comic book.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the point, because obviously it's digital, and you can change things. In the old days, you had to draw pen, paper, and colour with inks, and once it was done, that was basically it. You didn't. The times you did have to change things. Obviously, when I was working for Marvel, there was an occasional cover I'd do for Marvel, and Richard Stackens would probably edit it, and he'd probably maybe change something, which meant patching something up, which was a real pain, because you had to cut bits of paper out and recolour and stick on, etc., with glue. But now it's just great. It's so much easier. So I could never go back to the old days. But then again, the difference is you don't have original artwork, which is another problem.
Yeah, because that, for a lot of artists, that's a nice little extra, isn't it? Being able to sell the original art and do prints and all that sort of stuff. So we've got some artwork coming up here, I think. Oh, some classic artwork from back in the day. So, Dragon's Claws #1. We've all got that, I think.
Great issue, man. Great issue.
I think Steve White colored this, didn't you, Simon?
Sorry?
Did Steve White colour all the Dragon's Claws?
Offhand, I can't remember. Quite possibly.
Okay, yeah. Nice colorist. Good colorist.
Yeah.
Good. Dinosaurs as well.
Definitely. But yeah, the colouring was really dynamic, and it really suited that world that had been created, that sort of dystopian future world. It was really, it was almost like in juxtaposition to the mood of the book. It was really dark, but it had all these bright colours, and it worked really, really well. And also Death's Head as well was a great little series. Really enjoyed it.
I'd say, Shane, if you haven't read To the Death, it is like almost a companion to Dragon's Claws. If you love Dragon's Claws, or anybody that loves Dragon's Claws, you've got to read To the Death, because it's literally like it's a sister book to it. It is very much in the vein of that dystopian, horrible future. Really,
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's listening out there, just pick it up, man. It's absolutely awesome. But of course, and we've got some more artwork, haven't we, from the new strip, Sam? If we can see that, just so the people know what we're talking about. So we're all getting really excited about it, but we haven't had a look at it yet on the screen.
Something's happening.
Something's happening. I can hear Sam shuffling about. Yeah.
How did you come about with the title of the new magazine?
Simon came up with the title, didn't you?
No. Adrian, certainly for To the Death, that was us. But Shift was Adrian and Dave's brainchild. Yeah.
And what was the concept, Adrian and Dave? What was the concept behind the title? What was it? I mean, obviously it conjures all sorts of images, but what was that the intention?
Yeah, it was mainly sort of it was initially shifting perceptions, sort of try and get comics into people that aren't reading comics so much these days. So it was like to just shift the view of what comics are. Is kind of the initial. Obviously, there's lots of other things you can look at.
But it's a short, impactful title, really. When you wanted something that'll stand out on the newsstand, was one of the main thoughts, having something that we can have set up the top. But it was. It does have, basically it's the same as anything. Read into it what you want to read into it, I think, is the case.
We've got a question from the audience here. Where did the armor design for Dragon come from?
I mean the original Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, it's like similarities to what was them American military films? The one that was filmed down in Docklands. That was on at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, because it's got the bullets in the back of his head and things. So there's certain bits and pieces of that. But mainly it was just Aliens, wasn't it? Really, I mean, Aliens was the film that we were thinking about. Well, some of the time with armor and stuff, but yeah, it's just a basic armor. I don't know if there's any specific place it came from. It's a mishmash of different influences, which is probably what most people would say when they're designing something.
I think during that time,
somebody else.
Movies really did sort of influence a lot of comics, didn't they? And vice versa. I mean, I remember reading the Zoids strip, and the Silverman character in that was very much like the Bishop character in Aliens, and then there was the Terminator elements to it, and it seemed this massive like mishmash of like classic 80s action stories all in one, and I felt it was a bit like that with Dragon's Claws as well. It had all those really cool tropes that I suppose at the time they weren't tropes because they were still quite new. We're going back to the sort of late 80s when all those movies were still fresh in people's minds.
I mean, we were channeling things like Rollerball, which was a really big influence on me, that film.
Great film.
That was very much part and parcel of the ethos of Dragon's Claws, this idea of, the game, just to keep everybody distracted from the terrible state the world was in and their lives were in. And I think, so it's the sum of lots of different influences at the time. Like anybody else, we all had our favorite movies, TV series. And I think a lot of that got channeled into, Death's Head and Dragon's Claws and all our early work.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can see some more artwork now. Sam, have you got some more art there to show us? While we're waiting for Sam to sort that out, guys, Adrian and Dave, there are obviously other stories in this magazine that we'd like to sort of bring some attention to. Have you got any favourites yourselves that you'd like to sort of share with people who are watching?
Well, they're also fantastic. How could we choose, eh?
It's like it is difficult, isn't it?
Which is your favourite child?
Yeah.
But, obviously, To the Death's fantastic. That's not just because Simon and Geoff are there. It is a sort of when the whole thing had been put together, I actually read through. I think it's something like 2:00 in the morning last week, and I had to read through the whole thing to see how it flows through. And I'd forgotten how damn good that To the Death is. How good it is to read. I love Cora as well, which is by Chris Geary. That's it's the mostly without words, but it's in fact
right.
that first one was completely, isn't it? The
Yeah.
first, yeah. So the Shifter is fantastic. There's a newcomer, Warwick, Fraser Coombs. His sort of one shot. The artwork is really striking on that.
I like his work.
Story. Yeah, he's fantastic. People need to keep watching out for him. Obviously, Shifter is amazing. Just leaps off the page, literally. If you have the app. And obviously Tiny Acts of Violence is a really, really good in-depth read. It's it's a real grower, that one. But yeah, I mean, do you have a favourite?
Again, that's the same thing. You can't really say that. Obviously grew up on Simon and Geoff stuff, so that's always going to be at the forefront of me. Obviously we've got this really nice strip from Jim Kruger and Steve Yule, Foot Soldiers, which conveniently you just handed.
It's just come on now, yeah. That looks great.
So actually, I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen the actual magazine?
That actually comes out as a full page spread. So
I'm not sure if I can show you this one.
Oh right. No, we haven't seen the physical magazine yet. Oh wow, that's really impressive.
That's half of it. It's actually 6 pages across, which is the entire strip. It runs to about 20 pages, so we'll be presenting that over time. But it's from a few black and white bits that were printed in old in volume 3 that are newly scripted and newly coloured. So that's quite an exciting one to have in there. And Soulwind, which is the black and white strip we've got in there, which is one of my favourite stories from probably late 90s.
But it's Adrian did a lot of the hard work, sort of curating, talking to people, making sure that we had the titles. But obviously the real test is when you actually sit down and read it as an anthology. It's a bit like putting an album together.
Yeah.
Things like is the end of the story feel right? Does it segue into the next track? Does it does it feel right for the next story? And I think that the anthology hangs together so well. It was when I read it, it felt like a real a bit of an experience. So we're really, really pleased with the way it's hanging together.
We were very lucky. The all creators were really interested in what we're doing and engaged in the process. So offering points when story breaks should be, and giving us additional material and all sorts of things. They're all getting involved. The idea is great. Especially the talent that you may not have heard of so much, that haven't had stuff published. They're all putting in interviews, Q&As, background on the work that they've done, so that people can find out a bit more about them.
That's always a really good idea, isn't it? So that your readers can get to know the people actually making the books. That's always something about British comics that I've always enjoyed as a kid. You'd have all these sections in the books about who's creating them. You'd have like an editorial personality. A lot of that was something very British that I always enjoyed when I was growing up with comics.
And of course, we're going to have the old the letters page coming in fairly soon as well. So
excellent,
great. Can tell us. No one's pretending to be a giant green alien this time. But, yet.
The important question is, what's the letters page called?
Have you come up with a name for it yet?
There's got to be a name.
Aren't you supposed to have a competition for
That's a good call.
That's the one. You've got to have a competition
for Icecast. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Send in your suggestions.
And you'll get a no prize.
A name for it by the end of this.
That's a really nice trick there. That one on the screen now. Who's that artist there, guys?
I'm going to have to read that one out because I can't pronounce it properly. Gerard van Dyke, working with Brian Hogwin. So that's from Shifter, which is not where we got the name from. It's just
just a coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence. We're going to have that.
They're where do we get talking? So they are the two, or the comic house behind Sonata and Marked that are running at the moment.
Right.
They do some fantastic stuff, but they also do lots of extra elements and enhance it a lot from just your standard comic. They did a big widescreen book called Anomaly, and all of their things, including Sonata, have got enhanced augmented reality elements to them. So you can get the app pointed at the page, and you get creatures jump out of the page, lots of extra information about them. Little mini games that pop up. If you point at the cover of the magazine as well, a big saber tooth jumps out at you.
That's really cool.
And things like that. And yeah, Sonata, they recently did a 3D proper old blue and red specs, but actually works unbelievably well. So they've put a lot of extra work into their comics. They've been working.
But Anomaly, was that the massive wide book in a cardboard sleeve? And
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've got that downstairs. Yes,
it's
crazy.
A bit of a mission to read it, but
But obviously all of this. Maybe we'll talk about it later. I know you're talking about the title at the moment, but what's happening with Shift and what came around. The sort of the community aspect, the promoting creators. All those aspects of it are is what we're as Comic Toolbox we're trying to promote. It's maybe I said you want to go into that a little bit later, but you're getting the information from the artists, getting the artists and writers and everybody getting so involved in the project, and all the extra information we're getting is something we're trying to achieve as a company.
Right. So what's Comic Toolbox then? You've mentioned it. We may as well find out what it is.
Well, I mean, Comic Toolbox is where this came from. So when we printed To the Death, our first real sort of dipping the toe in the water was that with Furman and Geoff, and it's just trying to change the way, or make some small impact in the way that independent comics are viewed and how they are consumed. So it comes from a technology. I don't want to bore you with all of the details because it gets quite techy. But we have a number of systems that support local comic shops with order, the whole ordering system, and getting the actual visibility of the title in front of the different titles in front of consumers, in front of the punters, and we saw all of this coming together and being able to had an opportunity once we started getting relationships with Simon and people like that. We could see that there's an opportunity for getting a group of creators together and finding alternate routes to market for them, and sort of like obviously Shift is one attempt at that, but we've got some other sort of quite exciting systems that we're going to be launching, some training courses for people publishing and some we're going to have a sort of a collaborators platform. Sorry, let me give my earpiece back to my brother. He just had to go. That's one of the reasons we're sitting so close, by the way. I do love my brother, but
But, sharing earpieces.
We're sharing earpieces, and if we get too far apart, then I lose it. So
they sound like really, really cool ideas. I have to say, something like that is definitely needed in sort of the British indie scene. I think we'll all agree on that. And to have top creators involved is fantastic.
Yeah, well, we'll have a. I mean, obviously, it's fairly early days, but we're actually developing a system which will sort of allow collaborators to to find each other, and so we'll have some more exciting announcements about that probably within the next couple of months. So, but yeah, we won't give too much away now.
Well, that sounds fantastic. It really does. So
it's all about indie creators for us. That's
yeah,
it's really sort of it's giving people a chance, getting them people reading comics again. The joy, the fun we had when we were young.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but just on that, Adrian and Dave are great guys to work with. So I just want to throw that in there because they're a bit easy to get along, and they like a drink, and they know what they're doing. They're very organised, which is always helpful.
Yeah, I mean that's always something that's lacking. I think it's some.
Cheers, Jeff. It has been. Another drink.
That's all it costs, just a pint to get him to say that. Yeah.
If only it was just 1 pint.
But like that is the thing that's always been missing, isn't it? With like the indie scene in the past, is having like organisation. And I mean, I've had a stab at it myself, with doing distribution and stuff like that. And I always found it was quite difficult to get large groups of creators to sort of go along with the flow, as it were, because the very nature of being indie is that you want to do your own thing, and you don't really want to conform to something else that's some sort of larger conglomerate, if you like. So yeah, that was always the challenge, wasn't it?
So that's what we're trying to solve with technology. Adrian and I, you can tell by our our exciting demeanour that we're techie people, and we've I've been in IT for way too long. So has Adrian. From sort of programming and systems administration, but also we run another company. And it was we decided that it was time to try and apply that knowledge to something, to an industry we love. I mean, we've got a big passion. I mean, I started reading comics in the 70s. I lived out in Tasmania for a while, and before I went out there, I was on Star-Lord, stuff like that. The UK Star-Lord, and. I got very Americanized when I was out in Tasmania, sort of Green Lantern, Justice League, Legion of Superheroes. They're still, nostalgia for me, but it's the one thing I've always loved about working with independent creators and the whole scene is that, and it's one thing I loved about the music and the the writing and things in the 70s was it's one mad bastard's idea that's out on the page. And it's not it's not being filtered. It's not being, it's not being made to be, particularly, audience friendly. It's about finding the niche and getting people to finding the people that want that niche. So what we're trying to do is use technology to do that. We don't want creators to start, being part of a publishing house. We just want to give them the tools to be able to get to the audience.
That's really cool. Looks like somebody's using the show to get a message across to you there.
Excellent, Mighty Cole. We look forward to talking to you.
If I can just jump in very quickly on that, what Dave and Adrian were saying is when we were doing To the Death, we really didn't want to go with a company as such. We didn't want to go with a publisher who we felt might have, I don't know, sort of their own opinions on what we were doing. We really wanted to do our own thing, and yet we knew that we needed a mechanic to get it to market, into shops, and Jeff and I didn't really have that set up. So it was perfect for us that Adrian and Dave just let us do our thing, and then they helped us get it out there to market and get it out in front of people. So I think that's the very positive thing here is it's just creators being let loose really to do their own thing without that company oversight that sometimes can stifle creativity.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think, Simon, that like the role now, well, all of you really, this question is to, I guess, the role of the publisher is changing, or has changed, or has to change, into that more sort of custodian role rather than a controlling role, because the way that comics are consumed is changing.
Yeah, I think the audience is changing as well, and they're not just as happy with the sort of standard big 3 or 4 companies, and even those companies are having to diversify what they bring out, and I think the craving is there for, new, original, offbeat, not necessarily superhero orientated storytelling. And I think, the independent scene is burgeoning because of that. There's a lot of creators just bringing different visions. You only have to look at Martin Stiff's Tiny Acts of Violence, which is set in Cold War East Berlin. And, it's a very different to a lot of things that are out there, but all the more rewarding when you can read it. So, I just think it's a very good environment at the moment for creators wanting to bring their own unique visions.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, there has been it's this conflagration of technologies and situation and people's mindset. The technologies for creating and then also actually accessing your the niche. So a creator being able to access their niche. All the tools are there now, and they're affordable by a lot of people. So what we hope we can do is to be able to introduce that to people and funnel them, and so that they can get to their audience. Obviously, the digital technology with the creation aspect of it has made it so people who previously wouldn't have had the time or the facilities to be able to put together something can do that now. And what we need to do is take that and facilitate getting it to the right people. And with targeted marketing and things, and finding the right rather than just traditional marketing, then that is becoming more and more possible.
There's so many different routes to market now. You don't just have to go, through Diamond. You can go through crowdfunding. It can be an online comic. It could just be a comic on Facebook.
And they can all support each other. It doesn't have to be this sort of at each other's throats.
Yeah, I've noticed actually that you guys, we've noticed that you've got the Pat Mills new book coming out. We've got the 77, and you guys are all sort of working together, aren't you? You're collaborating with each other, which is really nice.
Yeah, and there's Sentinel as well. There's quite a few sort of interesting new indie books that are sort of falling under the Brawler as well.
Yeah, Brawler.
77.
Yeah, it's a bit of a renaissance, isn't it?
But then there's also the UK indie ones like Future Quake and Zarjazz, that are still continuing to have high quality stuff out there.
Yeah. The thing is, there's so many creators putting out great stuff, as Simon was saying before, but there's not been the avenue for them to really. And we're not just talking, your small press. There's professional creators as well now that are sort of finding that they want to put out different types of stories. They might have been working, for Marvel or 2000 AD for many years, but now they've decided that they want to do their own thing. And okay, there's Image in the US, but not everybody can go through Image. There has to be other avenues. As well as Shunt. Sorry, I keep calling it Shunt.
Wow.
Holding it.
It could have been worse. Yeah.
Could have been Clint.
At least it wasn't called Clint.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep thinking that. It's just a cool title. We're gonna have to make a comic called Shunt. But as well as Shift,
Shunt it.
Are you looking at sort of expanding into doing your own sort of like different themed anthologies or like single titles or anything like that?
So yeah, that's something we've definitely talked about. We're taking it cautiously, because obviously we don't. We want to be able to set. There's a financial, obviously, driver behind this, cash flow, all this, important business aspects that we need to make sure it's managed correctly.
Yeah.
We can't go, run before we walk, really. But we've already talked about having a different. It's obvious that people's, desires within comics have changed. I don't know whether they've changed or whether there's just more variety that people can get access to. But it's not just superheroes anymore. There's all sorts of different areas. We were talking. Well, I think Adrian's going to talk about Pat, maybe possibly recently, shortly. But we're talking about other titles. I won't go into them at the moment. But yeah, short answer, yes.
Well, that's great. That's great. I mean, like you say, you've got to be careful, haven't you, not to run before you can walk. I mean, some publishers, you've seen it in the past, they've put out dozens of titles straight off the bat, and then they've collapsed under their own weight. In this like vain hope that one of the titles might be picked up as a movie, and then they'll make loads of money. But that is just basically gambling, isn't it?
Yeah, and we have to make sure this model works as well, obviously, because we've had the buy-in with the creators. The way we're doing it, it's very much a partnership. It's not a matter of us, sort of taking the money and run. We're making sure that everything that all the money that goes, the more copies of Shift and also the merchandise. So that's one thing we should say. Sort of like that we've opened up the Shift.store. Which is another way you can order the title as well. It's early days, but the titles are on there. You can buy multiple subscriptions, but we're going to start having merchandise on there as well.
Cool.
So the more money people spend on that stuff, that money, a good percentage of that money will actually go to the creators. So it's not like these guys get paid a certain amount of money for something. All of the creators who've done all the hard work, and this is something that's really close to my heart, is that I want to see we both want to see that people who are the creative talent get the benefit.
That's the way it should be. And so, So with that in mind, Simon and Geoff, do you see this as a long-term relationship then with your ideas and these guys, what they're doing on their publishing side? I mean, to the death, do you see that as an ongoing thing within this magazine?
Oh, well, I mean, to the death will, I suppose, be ongoing until it's finished. I mean, it's a complete entity to the death. It's, it's either 10 issues or however many issues of Shift or graphic novels, but it's complete in and of itself. But within that, we've already started to produce strips based on our sort of bounty hunter character, Killer Toa. So, we want to do more of that and, hopefully bring that out. But yeah, I mean, as a model, it's definitely working for us in terms of if we are going to do our independent things, there he is, Killer Toa. If we are going to do our independent things, this is the kind of way we want to do it. It feels like we're just in control this way, and we can, we're not sort of subject to the whims or contractual difficulties you might get into, even with the best contracts with some of the main publishers. It really feels like we're just doing our own thing, our own way, which is very satisfying. So yeah, in the fullness of time, we definitely like to and intend to bring out other things in the same way.
I mean, from our point of view, we obviously I'd be remiss not to send the love back, but working with Geoff and Simon has been fantastic fun. It's been really, really good. We've obviously before pandemics and all the nonsense that's going on at the moment, we've done a few conventions together. Obviously we meet up as regularly as possible and drink. And
there seems to be a lot of drink in all of this.
But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure working with both of them there. So we from our point of view, not just from a monetary point of view, it'd be lovely to carrying on doing something in the future. So yeah, we'll have our fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is the social side as well, because I mean we're all good friends, and we'd meet up for the meeting where we discussed various things. Most of it was to do with paperweight or I don't know, fonts or what kind of ink to use or prints to use, etc., which was not my department. So I would sit happily drinking and let these guys just talk about that and catch up at the end kind of thing. But yeah, it was good, and they were all very organised as well. It was fun, but it was serious at the same time.
Yeah,
we're not just sitting around getting drunk. Well, I can, because I'm not involved in the technical side. I'm involved in the creative side, which is a different thing.
It has been a learning curve as well. It's pushed me to do other things like, talk to comic book stores, to actually be involved more in that retail marketing side of things. So it's been great in that respect as well. It's not just been a matter of writing a script and somebody publishing it. All of us together, Adrian, Dave, Geoff, myself, we've all been a kind of team pushing ourselves into possibly unfamiliar territory for us, and very satisfying because of that. I feel that, really all the effort, and, every time we get a sale or a good review, it feels very gratifying. And, we have that luxury of being able to say, look, we're not going to go straight to trade paperback or graphic novel. We'll slipcase the issues, behind my head, that way, over there somewhere, is the two, couldn't work that one out at all. The two cases, that we've done for To the Death. Thank you. There we go. Much
Lovely.
better.
Hey!
Lovely.
And I've got critical eyes.
It's always good to have a retailer at hand to show you.
Yeah, there we go. So so that was great. And quite possibly have been working with an Image or an IDW. They might not have let us do this, but this was the beauty of the arrangement, that we could take that decision and that risk. And so far, so good.
Fantastic. And Geoff, I've noticed that you've been posting a bit of work online lately, and you've been experimenting a little bit with some oils, haven't you? And we've enjoyed it. What was the inspiration for that?
Well, I suppose underneath it, I always wanted to be a serious artist. And for many years, I've been wanting to get back into oil painting, and I'm getting back. As you know, I've been in advertising for a long time, probably too long, because now I'm trying to get back doing other things. I want to get back into oil painting, so I'm drastically trying to catch up with what I missed out in my self-teaching oil paint. So I'm doing that at the moment, but I'm getting there. During lockdown, I mean, it's been great because, obviously you can't really go anywhere, but I've been in turmoil as well because I'm trying to crack the code of painting, etc. And I've just started, which I put on the social media, a big painting of Unichrome.
Yes.
And wow, it's been a fact that the last thing you want to paint in oils is a transformer. I think I've got the technique now. I've looked around and I see what people can do with oil paint. I think I've cracked the technique. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because I've put it out there now. So I'm going to have to carry on. And fingers crossed it'll be okay when it's finished. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. But obviously, I'll still enjoy doing the comics, etc. as well. I'm going to get back onto Killator again soon.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you did do some oils before, didn't you, Geoff? Didn't you do the Death's Head poster and the Dragon's Claw poster back in the day?
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, that was what, 25? Well, yeah. So that's a long time. Yes, it's a long time ago. So it's been a long break, and yeah, I'm trying to just get back into it and just basically learn a bit more. It's like a crash course in oil painting. What I'm doing at the moment, but it's strenuous, and my brain can't cope with a great deal, so I'm really filling up with paint at the moment. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work out.
Well, we'll enjoy finding out.
Yeah.
As a fan of both Simon and Geoff, I love the fact that you've both come back for To the Death. It's been so good. It's been a really good read. I also like the fact that it seems that Geoff, has the fire been lit underneath you for comic work again? You seem to be back in the vein. Oh,
definitely, yeah. Of course it is. It's just great fun to do stuff that's just enjoyable. Yeah, of course it is. It's good fun. I mean, it's that thing where when I did comics first time around, that work for Marvel, and the money relation was a lot better then than what it is now for people. I was quite shocked when I heard how poorly people were getting paid for comics now.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's a saturated market. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning is. But which is why me and Simon obviously want to do our own thing, because you want to control, and obviously what money there is, you want to be in control of as well. But yeah, it's great fun to do, be creative and do this. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, I'm still 24 or 20 or whatever in my head. And
no, I'm the same. Yeah,
I think that's something we've all got in common on this show tonight.
Yeah.
A nice little comment from Mighty Cole again. All the Geoff and Simon work all of the time. Thank you for everything. So
Mighty Cole.
Thanks, Mighty Cole.
We've got a message from Dan Hunter. Any news on prints of the Dragon's Claws poster from issue 1?
Oh yes, beautiful.
I actually still have the actual original painting.
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I was going to mention it earlier that, you know, with the Unicron painting that you're doing, it just reminds me of, like, because your artwork was so kinetic and the inks, you know what I mean, and it really stood out. And then I remember the poster. I mean, mine's long gone. It was displayed on the wall, you know, as a kid. But that poster was like just something extra. That paint, you know, the painted poster, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll get some prints made. What I want to do is I'm hoping if the Unicron painting works out okay, I can get some posters made, and that's what I want to do. I want to start making posters and things, and going that way, and I'll get some prints made of the original Dragon's Claws.
But it's so cheap these days to get posters and prints made.
Sorry,
you know, it's so cheap.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Economical. You know,
it's a whole new world. And then, like, so when just print your own comic, we would never have dreamt of doing that when we were in the 80s. Could we, Simon? It would never happen. But now it's everybody can print. Everyone can print a comic. You know, if you know what you're doing. I guess.
Yeah, you just need 200 quid and know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think even 5 years ago we could have got to the death out there. Really, you know, the economies of printing now have become, you can, to the death is prestige format, 48 pages on really good quality paper, and yet it was affordable to do in that way. So I think we were lucky that printing to order has come on so rapidly, and there's so much scope now for doing these things economically, which you just couldn't have done 5 years ago. So we've just timed this right in many ways.
Yeah.
And the print quality of the colour is brilliant as well. I remember we would look at the proofs, wouldn't we, and said they're really nice. I was surprised how good the colour is. It's brilliant, I don't know. It's because we always remember back in the old days when things were a lot different. But it's a different world. It really is.
Yeah, looking at the mags that they had that Adrian and Dave were showing us before when they were pulling out the pages, even at a distance, I could see that the colour was really vibrant. Really picked up well. It was so hard. Just like you say, 5 or 6 years ago to get that sort of quality, but it really is a lot better now. We've had another message from Dan Hunter. I'll have painted Unicron.
I'll write it down on my list. I'll put your name down.
So that's one sold.
Two sold.
Yeah, we'll all have
Can we just quickly promote the magazine again, and just can you guys say where it's where we can buy it from? Is it mail order in Smiths? How much? How many pages?
Yeah, all the stats, please, guys.
A little bit of stats, plug away.
Okay, so Dave mentioned you can pick it up directly on theshift.store. We've got a few preloaded subscriptions you can get for individual issues, but it is out now in newsagents and comic shops that are slowly signing up over the country. So I've been out and checked a few newsagents just to make sure that nothing's gone wrong. It's on the shelves. I think there's a kind of a slower push out to some of the comic shops, but they've all gone out from us. Yeah,
but you're distributing yourself. You're not going through Diamond.
Not currently.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. So we did the sort of the to the death, and we've worked with Comic Scene and passed that out to shops as well. They're I guess smaller scale than the standard Diamond throughput, and it just worked for that.
We have to build it up, don't you? That relationship with the retailers, and at the moment, obviously, it's not easy because of the situation that retailers are in. You know, some of the guys they can't really take risks on new titles because they're just
we're trying to make it. We're making it as easy as possible for them to take it. You know, so that so literally there's no risk on their behalf. So obviously we know that people are retailers. I mean, I owned a comic shop in the when did it start? Around about Death of Superman. That was one of the first titles we had on the shelves in Guildford. It was Avatar Comics, then Guildford Games and Comics. So I know the pain behind trying something new. You want to give people a chance, but when it comes down to it, it's got a detrimental effect on the bottom line. So that's what we have to try and get past with a lot of these retailers. We've got some very good relationships. News agents, it's not in all news agents. We've heard there's a number that haven't had it, but I think the thing to say to anybody watching is to go and nag your local comic shop, go and nag your news agents, and they can get it in.
So is it in local news agents, not just WH? It's in WH Smith's.
So any news agents can get it ordered in from their standard supplier. Yeah.
And sorry, what's the cover price?
$6.99. It's 100 pages with the 6-page fold out.
An absolute bargain.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper than the magazine. Or the similar price.
But
we wouldn't compare ourselves to anybody. But, yes,
but I'm just saying it's as a bargain.
It's very competitive for what you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. You know, you're getting a lot of story there because when Sam was flicking through the pages before, Sam, feel free to carry on doing that. By the way, people would like to see the artwork. I'm sure. There wasn't that much advertising.
Oh, Shane's gone.
That's what you get when you upset Sam.
No, he's right. There wasn't a massive amount of advertising. In fact, we had to. We did pad out one page, didn't we? Yeah. But,
I'm back. Sam,
but, I mean, this is sort of part of the thing that was really, and obviously I think everybody sees this and has felt this, is that the price of comics are getting to the point where it's not achievable by, never mind, there's a lot of people our age who are, and within sort of 10 years either way, sort of reading titles. But for anyone younger who wants to get in, then you want to collect a couple of titles and forget about it. You can't afford it. So we're trying to find a price point that is going to attract people. We want to drag people back into the wonderful world of comics.
Yeah,
I think
talking the advertising. Oh,
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, talking to the advertising, that it is quite limited. We try to get as much strip in there as possible. What we are going to do is get, because like I said before, the idea is to get it into the hands of people that don't necessarily pick up comics or go into comic shops. We want, we're going to have local comic shops listed in there so that people then who want to follow up and get other stuff know where to go and find shops that they might not ordinarily be aware of. So
that's good.
Them a bit.
That's really good. I mean, what was I going to say? I was going to say something, and then it completely slipped out of my head. Sorry?
I was going to say, Shane, that I know that Forbidden Planet International should be having a shift in. I know we've got orders in, and we have had customers asking about it, and seeing it flick through there, it just looks amazing. The you know what I mean? How it's put together, how it looks is really, really nice.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that people would much rather buy, I think, something for $6.99 where they have a substantial reading experience than pay what is it? £4 now for just a normal American comic with 22 pages. I mean,
that's exactly it. You just feel you finish your comic and it's just like there's no reading experience there. It's gone. It's just. I'm sure the original poster art will have an Angel's Jealousy and Drool collection.
Well, there you go. We'll see, eh?
You're looking at your. It's probably.
And hello, Marco. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show.
The magazine does look great, though. It looks really slick.
Excellent.
So Ed's Comic Hut, I got mine today in my local newsagents in Enniscorthy in Ireland. Big congrats to Adrian and Dave, and cheers Andrew for the Sentinel plug. Ed, that's our friend. How you doing, Ed? Nice, thanks for joining us, mate. Nice to see you.
Yeah, that's another.
But yeah, there's some great. I mean, it's great to know that it's going out there, getting that feedback, that people are picking it up in their newsagents, and hopefully, shows like this and other shows that you're going to be advertising on will hopefully, help spread the word, and we'll get a nice readership. Because I think what you can do now with the indie scene is that you can create a readership that might not be as massive as some of the old readerships, but you're selling directly to an audience, so an audience that loves what you're doing. And so it might be a smaller audience, but it's a more sort of faithful audience, if you like.
Yeah, there's Cora. That's
nice.
I do enjoy reading that. It's a cracking title.
Lovely colouring.
I think it's really important and brave to bring out a brand new comic and to get it into comic shops, and more importantly, news agents, as Simon and Geoff said earlier. You know what I mean? Getting back to that, the news agent experience, that you can go into any normal news agent and come across an anthology UK-based comic book is really, really important.
I think the last one was Mark Miller's Clint, wasn't it? 10 years ago.
I think so.
That Titan put out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's very,
and that was
very kind of you saying that we're that it's a brave move.
It is.
Time will tell whether it's brave or stupid.
The same thing, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, is it a monthly title? So have you got the next one ready to go?
Yeah. So it's 5 weekly, really.
Right.
Yeah. Just for reference, we're keeping the first one on the shelves just a bit longer to give it a bit of extra chance to get picked up. So the next issue is 10th of December, and then generally there's a bit of a lull in newsstands over January. So the advice from that sort of thing is to give it a bit longer over Christmas as well. So it's 10th of December for issue 2, and then February the 4th for issue 3, and then from that point onwards it's every 5 weeks.
But they're all. It's just a matter of collating it, really. So everything is there. Everything is being organised. So it's just putting it together and getting it printed and distributed on time. So
impressive. And are you guys acting as the editors as well as the publishers, or is it sort of a real free for all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Well, obviously not of the actual. Yeah, we're the actual titles themselves. They are people have got the what they want on the page, but as far as curating, putting it together, and any extra content, yes, obviously, Comic Scene. Do you want to say about?
Yeah, so obviously we were supporting Comic Scene and helping them with subscription and print and distribution to newsstands. They've had quite a nice long run. Got to, I think, 20 issues produced altogether, and then they were starting to look at other sort of changing the title a bit, which they've come up with the History of Comics, which is sort of a part work that's going to run over the next 10 years, 100 years worth of comics.
Wow.
So yeah, they've been looking into that, and also he's doing some sort of retro style annuals, the nice hardback style of annuals that's been missing for a while. So when they started looking at that, they also wanted to keep a little bit of a presence. We wanted to have the articles about the guys that are doing stuff in the magazine, and a few bits of news. Obviously, news tends to be people read it on the internet, but
yes,
to have a bit of an article and a bit of background information that's something nice about the something relevant to the stories that are in there. So we're working with Tony from Comic Scene on that, so they're doing a little section that's split across the magazine. So that's a little bit less for us to do.
It's a very UK thing, isn't it, to have that? You know what I mean? The text and the information in there as well as the comic books. I think that's an important thing to put in there as well.
Yeah, but as we go, we'll have lots of information about pushing people out to the other books that these guys have done, stuff that they wouldn't have known about. So we can help.
Had a comment there from Dave Broughton. Looks great. I'll be picking one up soon. We'll hold you to that, Dave.
Brilliant news. Thanks, David.
What we want is people to post on the Facebook page a picture of them with their copy of the magazine, just to prove that you have actually bought it. We want to see those pictures on Facebook.
We want them to. I mean, actually, seriously though, it'd be good to have people doing that and posting all over the place. I think you've set up a hashtag, haven't you, for a few different...
Shift
oh right, what's the hashtag?
Shift 29. It's going to be a bit late after today, but still, we can still use it.
But yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to see. It is part and parcel of it, isn't it? It's sort of starting to create that family sort of community sort of feel.
29.
Jeff 29.
It doesn't look a day old.
29. Get it right.
29. Shunt.
It's all about Jeff. It's all about Jeff.
It's all about Jeff, man. I want to know, Jeff, what is that beer you're drinking? It looks really nice.
It's this. It's a proper job.
Proper job.
Proper job.
It's a proper job. And I go in Morrison's and I just empty the shelf. You can get £4 for £6.
Is that panic buying, Jeff?
No, he's just thirsty.
Panic buying. I've run out of beer. What am I going to do?
That was just for tonight.
As a fan of Simon and Geoff's, obviously with To the Death being as superb as it was, with it being reprinted in Shift, does this give any emphasis to you guys to do anything? To is there more To the Death, more Killer Tower? What can we expect from you guys? I'm hoping there's a whole lot of stuff coming from both of you.
There's definitely more Killer Tower coming when Geoff gets around to drawing the second one. But eventually, I mean, we'll probably keep releasing Killer Tower as a free strip, as we did with the first one. But then once we get a critical mass of it, we'll bring it out as a full color one shot. So yeah, there's definitely going to be more. Just when Geoff stops sort of playing with his oil paints, we might get some.
What was really nice about the Killer Tower strips? Sorry, Jeff. What was really nice about the Killer Tower strips is that To the Death was the digital version. Jeff's, where Jeff's gone to now. But then Killer Tower had that look back to the traditional art style, the heavy inks and the fine line. And it was, as a companion piece, it was both different but connected. It was really nice.
Yeah, well, with Killer Tower, I did that digitally, but I think I might draw some on proper paper, then I can sell them.
That's what we want to hear.
I've got to go backwards and start drawing on paper again.
It is a very different experience, though, isn't it, Jeff? Talking as an artist, it's like drawing on paper. I mean, I love messing about digitally, but I don't think there's anything quite like drawing on paper. The tactile sensation.
Yeah, but strangely enough, I work on screen. I work on a Cintiq, and it's incredibly like drawing. I mean, it is interesting how it is quite satisfying to do that. But then again, you just got something digital, which is no good, is it really, to sell? But if you do on paper, I'll definitely do some more on paper. Definitely. I look forward to it.
Paper is the future.
future, yeah.
What's everyone think about that? You know, that obviously, I think who we are, we all have to read a comic. You know, have to have it in your hands. But you know, we've been doing a reasonable amount of advertising and getting opinions, and there's been a number of people have been asking about whether we'll be distributing digitally as well. But you know, I think they've been predicting the death of vinyl, the death of comics, the death of printing for a long time. But it seems to me that it's just getting stronger and stronger.
As I said before, I think
it depends what you read it on, though. So I've got an iPad Pro, so that's A4 approximately, so you can read. But I much prefer physical comics.
You're talking to a bunch of old guys. We all prefer paper.
I mean, I do both.
Yeah, if you ask younger people, they'd probably give you a different answer, wouldn't they?
If you try and read it on your iPhone,
I read on an iPad Pro as well. Mostly, just my eyesight's got so bad over the years. Reading in a comic, it's only so thick the glass can be. So actually, reading a comic does get more difficult, but at night time. But there's nothing like sitting there with a comic.
I think that's one thing that Marvel got right is the general monthly comics come with a code, so you can get the digital version for convenience as well.
Marvel.com's really good, actually. I have to say, it is a good service.
You can read the paper copy, but if you happen to be away and you want to read through a stack of them, you don't have to take them with you. You can take.
But Marvel Unlimited, the app, Marvel Unlimited is just it's incredible.
It's great.
You know, you can read from right the way from Timely Comics up to what came out 2-3 months ago.
I think it is an interesting thing, isn't it? Why not both? You know, we can create comics digitally. Yeah. Why not read them digitally? You know what I mean? And then as Simon and Geoff have done through Get My Comics, and you can order them digitally. You know what I mean? But you can get them. You know what I mean? Physically and in a package in a lovely way as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you're selling to an audience at the end of the day, and there's an audience that will always love physical stuff, and that audience will pay, as I said, more for something more substantial. Where your younger audience, we expect everything for free generation, are more likely, I think, to want digital material and want to pay very little for it. But you can sell to both markets, I think, quite effectively. Through even through something like Shift, which can be digital as well. You can sell to both of those audiences, but I suppose you just market it in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, from our point of view, there's the rights issue. So that's currently why we're not doing that, but hopefully we will be in the not too distant future. But we'll see.
I think we've had an hour plus.
We've had more than an hour.
We've been rabbiting away.
We are so grateful, guys, for you coming on tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and to and all four of you. And that's a blast from the past, there, isn't it? I have a copy of that myself as well. So before we all start gushing like fanboys. Massive thank you, guys. What we got here? In the background there.
I've got one last question for Adrian and Dave.
Okay, one last question, Chris.
Those two paintings behind you, is that Digitech and Dark Angel?
Paintings behind you.
Is that Dermot Power?
That's. Oh yeah, I'm going to practice this as well. That's the cover to Digitech.
Digitech, yep.
And Overkill.
Overkill. Dark Angel.
Oh,
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
It was playing on my mind. I had to know. But that's what Shift's doing, and that's what Shift's bringing. Is that classic toxic Overkill havoc, that UK scene that is being, we're busting for.
Yeah, there's a big desire for this stuff, guys. So I really hope it's a massive. I hope it's a massive success. I really do. We're all going to buy it. We're all going to support it.
Yeah.
So big up to you guys. Big up to all four of you, and thank you so much for coming on the show. And we will see you again soon at a convention. We hope in the future.
Yeah. Look forward to it. Cheers, guys.
And thanks to you guys.
Thanks for the invite. It's been a pleasure.
Great to see you both again. Great to see you, Adrian, Dave.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.